Welcome to another top 5, guys. The new expansion came out 4 days ago, and now we can really see what the best decks in Hearthstone are. So in this video I'm gonna give you 5 of the best decks, show you their mulligans, talk about their matchups, and we're also gonna talk about general tips for them, so you guys know how to play with and against these decks. So if you're serious about Hearthstone, drop a like and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget you can have some Hearthstone coaching. I'm also gonna be doing a 3-hour Hearthstone coaching giveaway, so if you guys wanna enter that, again, drop a like and subscribe to the channel, and also leave a comment what deck you would like to get coached on, and I will be picking the winner on the next stream on Thursday. Thanks again for Roki for sponsoring this. Now, let's check out the decks.
You are not prepared!
So obviously, Elemental Mage is still pretty much the best deck in the game right now. Everybody is reaching Legend with it left and right, and to no one's surprise, it is going to be getting nerfed in about 10 days from now. So I'm not going to include it into this top 5, just check out my videos about it, my coaching sessions with it, the last top 5. Really not that much to talk about the deck. It has seen way too much attention already, so let's just start ignoring it collectively, and be prepared for it to take several hits, if I gotta be honest. I think the 5 mana Revenant is gonna take a hit, the 2/3 Flame Revenant is also probably gonna take a hit, and heck, maybe even a third card could get hit in it, so I am assuming it is gonna be toned down to a healthy 55-ish% win rate after that, instead of the 60+, which is enjoying right now. The other deck that's gonna be getting nerfed is probably Quasar Rogue, so stay away from that one, because it has horrible win rate anyway, but the fact that it has such a horrible play pattern, such a horrible experience for the opponent, that does not fly for Hearthstone, and you can be expecting it to be getting nerfed in 10 days as well, so don't craft too much for it if you still want to do some degenerate things with it. Without further ado, let's start with the best decks, and we're gonna start off with Rainbow Shaman. Rainbow Shaman has been really strong for the last expansion, and nothing has changed for it in this expansion as well. It sits well against the Elemental Mages, it still does pretty OP things quite fast, and yeah, not many opponents can actually handle this menace of a deck. It curves out super efficiently, it has plenty of cheap stuff, plenty of tokens, so you're always gonna find yourself with a very good board to wave a Nostalgia on, unless something went horribly wrong for you. We also have a couple of Flawless Gifts in here, so even if you don't want to be going for the wave, you might actually go for some Bloodlust action, and don't forget Sigil of Skydiving actually gets to be stacked together, so if you go for a turn 4 double Sigil of Skydiving, you could have a turn 5 6 Idiots to go face and wave a Nostalgia on, or you could have still a turn 5 coin into Bloodlust, and that's gonna be like 6 + 18, 24 damage to the face like that, so that can be pretty sick too. We have a couple of Cult Neophytes here, mainly so you can maybe fuck up some of the rogues, I'd assume, and you could also time this correctly against mages once the rune has dropped. Other notable mentions in this one, honestly it's pretty standard stuff. You have a single copy of a weapon, you don't have any ways to actually buff it, you have a couple of Razzlers, and obviously Ziliax is gonna be the pilot module plus ticking module. Matchup wise, we can see that it's enjoying quite the good win rate right now, except for Death Knights, and there was a time where Death Knights were super popular. Right now they're not that popular, but still popular enough to fuck you over, so keep that in mind. Mages, as you can see, you're gonna be happy to see him, and Odin Warrior could go either way, it seems. As for the mulligan, here's what the stats show. Maybe we're gonna go with the Kep trait. Still kinda early to trust the mulligan win rate too much, but yeah, you wanna curve out decently well with patches, with Murloc, Glowfin, with Sigil of Skydiving. Gorgon's Ormwan curve is nice. Greedy Partner allows you to have a coin for maybe a turn 4. Wave of Nostalgia, Gold Banner, and Needle Rock are pretty good themselves. So yeah, try to be curving out nice and good. As for on the coin, here even things like Wave of Nostalgia become a bit more keepable, but not by much. You can only hold on to this if you actually already have a pretty perfect hand. And we can see that still the MVPs are pretty much the same cards from the first half. For other good Shaman decks, we can also see that Big Shaman is actually doing quite well. I'm assuming it's going to be farming Elemental Mages nice and good. And if we gotta be completely honest and transparent, this deck has more critical mass than the Rainbow Shaman I showed you, but the fact that we have several different iterations of Rainbow Shaman, all with 60+ win rate, it's kind of a no-brainer to include it into the top 5, whereas the Big Shaman has just about 600 games, and it's only a single variant of it, but it is definitely a perfect 30 now, isn't it? So you can go either way, honestly, for Shami right now. In both cases, you're going to be having fun and winning a bunch. There's also a Razzler Shaman without any Wave of Nostalgia is doing nice and good. Battlecry Highlander Shaman apparently is doing well. But everybody's favorite Shaman deck right now, which is Boulder Shaman, I'm assuming, for the people that play it, not for the people against it, is actually not doing that amazingly well. It's a little bit on the lower half. Here's some Elemental Shamans. These still have Boulders, don't they? No, these actually don't have any Boulders. Yeah, the Boulder variants are kind of low, like 53-ish% win rate. Definitely nothing to write home about. Far from the meta breaker people thought it would be. Next up, we have Handwave Pally, which has also been doing quite well. Not that huge of a sample size, but this is a old archetype again that many people still have, many people can still abuse. And this is actually the first deck from Diamond to Legend. This is the top deck with small sample size, but several different iterations on close to the same Handwave Pally. So again, it's safe to say that Handwave Pally is above 60% win rate, aka tier 1. This particular variant is opting for a couple of Astral Serpents, so you get a little bit more card draw in the end. And if you want to be swapping this out, people have been including the 2/5, this thing, Customs Enforcer, with great success. Here's another variant with it. So yeah, a couple of variants with very big sample size, like very big win rate, not so much sample size. So yeah, definitely looks good. Aside from that, the deck is pretty standard. You're gonna notice it tops off with a single 7-mana Nidus, nothing more expensive than that. And obviously the Ziliax in here is at the end of your turn double up, plus some other copy it is, so that can be pretty menacing, because you could coin this guy out on turn 5, and that can be pretty bonkers. Matchup-wise, here's what the stats show. Nothing, but honestly, we can just drag it out for the last 30 days, still nothing. Well, fuck it, I guess. No stats for this guy just yet. I'm gonna check out the similar variant with a lot bigger sample size so we can get some sample size still. The fuck? We're not doing great against Elemental Mage, but it's top tier. That doesn't add up much, but maybe it does. The 30 days shows that it has plenty of favorable matchups, and some of the current bad matchups would be Evolve Shaman and Rainbow Shaman, so be ready for that. But you are going to be good against things like Odin Warrior, against things like, well, it does say good against Elemental Mage, but maybe this is the old Elemental Mage, so that makes some sense. But yeah, all around you are going to have plenty of good matchups still, but we don't have that much stats for the new meta just yet. As for the mulligan, here's what we can see. People are obviously going to be keeping the curve. Instrument tech is nice, the weapon can be great, but don't keep both of them, obviously. Going first, Grim Street Outfitter is not the best thing you could be doing on turn 2 if you ask me. You'd be a lot happier to drop a gold banner. Draw Deconstructor on 1 is great, Muscle-O-Tron can be decent, the weapon, Righteous, depending on the matchup I'd say, same with Audio Medic. And if you're against the Mage or other aggressive classes, Stagger's Plushie can also make the cut. As for on the coin, here's what we have again, and pretty much the same deal. Instrument Tech and Painter's Virtue still pretty high, obviously. And yeah, it's really the same stuff. For other good Pally decks, this is the one I showed you. At a close second, this is the other variant with the Customs Enforcer instead of the Astral Serpent. And we can see this one also has pretty big sample size with a few other different cards. But Tourist Pally is still as strong as ever. It's obviously cutting the Urban package again. It's going back to its roots, being the Tourist Pally that it enjoyed to be. No Renefall means you gotta be cutting a lot of corners to fit in all the good stuff, and this is what we have. Flood Pally is also doing quite well. Apparently they're trying to farm Elemental Mages and such. Urban Pally apparently is also decent. Kinda strange, but again, you are using Sun Snapper, Lionessa and such. Hold up, why the hell is this thing for the last 3 days here, man? That's so weird. This is the last 3 days. That doesn't add up, so I guess this is some kind of mistake. I hope the other stats are accurate, because this is kind of clunky. So yeah, let's just ignore the rest of these, but I haven't been noticing other Renefall decks here. That's kind of weird, honestly. Moving down to a new archetype, we actually have Cold Priest doing well, which is interesting for sure. This is going to be running some of the self-harming stuff with Acupuncture, with Brain Masseuse. We have Crimson Clergy for some cool card draw engine. Funnel Cake helps you overdraw, overheal more like it, and also gives you a lot of extra mana to work with. Nightshade Tea is in here. You can do a lot of things with that, I guess, both on your stuff and on the opponent. Like, probably not on your stuff, what am I talking about? But still, Overzealous Healer is a cool new card that gives you a lot of tempo, like 1 mana free. What is this, wild? Dreamboat can be pretty nice, a couple of gold banners for the card draw. The new Orbital Halo is also pretty decent. Give a minion 2/1, and Divine Shield costs 0 if you played an adjacent card this turn. So that can be pretty easy to happen for you, because all of your stuff is pretty cheap. This is basically a 0 mana +2/+1 and Divine Shield, can't say no to that. A couple of Power Chord Synchronizes, a couple of Ethereal Oracles, a couple of Coals. I don't get why this deck is called Coals Priest, by the way. Like, wow, it runs Coals. Is that the MVP? Like sure, you have a couple of spell damage and such, but are you gonna OTK people with the Coals? That doesn't add up. We also have Pip the Potent, so you can copy some of your 1-drops. Couple of Sauna Regulars. It's a 5 mana 5/5 taunt. Costs 1 less for each time your hero has taken damage on your turn, so that can happen pretty quickly for you. We also have Amantulan here and a couple of Thirsty Drifters. So yeah, it's a pretty tokeny deck, pretty aggressive like that, and you do have some spell damage shenanigans to work with, so that can be pretty busted, especially if you copy extra Ethereals with the help of the Power Synchro, and you also get to cheat out extra mana on that same turn with the Funnel Cake, so you could be doing some pretty massive swing turns with this, no doubt. Matchup wise, we can see you're going to be farming Elemental Mages, so as soon as the nerfs happen, this deck might not be as hot, but until then, it might be decent enough. As for the mulligan, here's what people have been holding on to. You want your good 1-drops. Basically, all 3 of the good 1-drops are a no-brainer. Gold Banner ain't bad. Orbital Halo could be amazing. Like, turn 1, you can literally have a 5/4 Divine Shield, that can be massive. Yeah, damn, coming down with the cold, man. We can also see Funnel Cake could be a consideration, I'm assuming only if you have a Crimson Clergy or something like that. Dreamboat is also pretty amazing if you have a Crimson Clergy. But yeah, all around you're seeing what you're supposed to be holding on to. As for on the coin, it's gonna be pretty much same deal. Nightshade Tea might also be cool, because you get to do a lot of damage to the opponent's stuff, and you're gonna need to answer stuff. For other good Priest decks, probably not that much to choose from, but apparently Zarimi Priest is also pretty much up there. This is the Coles Priest I showed you, pretty high win rate, pretty high sample size, so definitely worth a check. There's several different iterations of Zarimi Priests. There's this thing, kind of seems like it's also another type of Coles Priest deck, and we can see that the other variants are not working as good as they would like to. But definitely plenty of different Priest decks out there, a lot more than the class had before, I'd say. On number 4 spot, we have Breakfast Hunter, and I did try this deck last stream, and it felt pretty amazing. We actually managed to climb from 350 to top 200 with it with ease, even won against Bunny Hopper and such, so pretty cool deck. This is not the exact list I ran, but it's very close. It only has a couple of different cards. The only 2 different cards here are the Ceaseless Expanse, and the other thing was... honestly, I don't even see. I think it was just the Ceaseless Expanse change. Oh yeah, Grifta is also in here, so that can be pretty cool indeed, because the reason why Grifta is cool in a deck like this is because of Rangari Scout. Because if you have Rangari Scout on the board and you Grifta, you could actually find yourself 12 damage worth of 6 damage to the face that way, so that can be kind of nice. And yeah, this deck is basically the old Breakfast Hunter, but it made room for the Discover mechanic with Rangari Scout, with Exarch Nailed it. And also Alien Encounters, so that way you can buy yourself some extra time and also look for your stuff quite efficiently, because this deck has plenty of discovers like that. We have also added tracking in here, the better than Rangari Scout feel, as well as the 5 health taunts. And with the help of these, you're gonna find your eggs a lot easier. I mean, the old variant also had these, you definitely wanted to look for the eggs. And we also have a couple of bird watchings for the same thing, and they're also pretty nice to discount stuff. Only a single location in this one, so you have room for the other things. Personally, I thought the Titan Force traps are gonna be kind of trash, but honestly, this card is such a huge cog block for so many decks. Like, play this against the Warrior, you can block their big removals with Ice Trap. Play this against the Mage, you can wipe their board with Explosive Trap, and so many other good situations. And the other cool thing about this card is you actually get to get all of those secrets twice, because thanks to the Rangari Scout, while you're discovering secrets to cast, you also get a copy of them in your hand, and that can be super good. Like, you're basically cog blocking the opponent for a couple of turns this way with those secrets. The second time it's not going to be such a big secret, but still, you all are familiar of how strong and potent secrets can be. Other than that, the deck is pretty much standard stuff. You get to cheat out big beasts quite fast, and you also get to repeat all of those big beasts with the help of Sasquatch, with the help of Stranglethorn Heart, and a lot of the times it comes down to tempoing. It doesn't really come down to doing Hollow Hound OTK with Bestial Madness. In some cases you could do that, but honestly for all the games I played with this deck for an hour and a half, I never really OTK'd anybody with Bestial Madness Hollow Hound combo, so keep that in mind. And yeah, the deck is very fun to play, very pleasant, and you're doing amazingly well against the mages as well, because both the secrets and the Hollow Hounds are an absolute no-brainer. Another thing I noticed here is the deck I actually ran was using the new card Detailed Notes. And for the longest time I thought this thing is actually gonna discover a big beast from my deck and discount it by 2, but no, this discovers any 5-cost or more beast from the game. So you could get some low rolls like Stranglethorn Tiger or the Dyna Banjosaur or whatever the fuck it's called. But a lot of the times you're gonna find at least one of the beasts you're running in your deck, like Sasquatch, like Hollow Hound, like Mukla, like King Plush, that kind of deal. So definitely felt like a nice card, but this is the trade-off we did in this one, and it is the better variant according to the stats. This one has 57.6, the one I'm showing you is around 60, so there's that. Maybe if you don't have these legendaries, try them with the Detailed Notes, that might work for you. As for the matchups, we can see not that much stuff. Apparently you're not going to be that great against Elemental Mage. Honestly, I found the matchup to be quite pleasant, because against Elemental Mages I actually held on to Absorbent Parasite, so I can actually rush him down. Like, obviously this card works amazingly well on your Hollow Hound, but you actually have to reach your Hollow Hound turns to do something like that, so using this as a removal tool in the early turns can be pretty crucial, and maybe a lot of opponents did not think about that kind of angle and didn't play around Elemental Mage as much. The cool news is Odin Warrior is not going to be that great for you, and I did beat Bunny Hopper on Odin Warrior with this deck, so I can attest to that. As for the mulligan, here's what it looks. Going first, you're gonna be looking for Niall, the Mystery Egg, Tracking, Birdwatching, basically try to find your eggs kind of deal. Depending on the matchup, Titan Force Trap could be great. I would never hold on to Bestial Madness, honestly. It's something to do on turn 2, but you don't hold on to this. Like, you top deck it. You don't need it. You top deck it. Yelling Yoddler could be a keep if you already have an egg. The Parrot Sanctuary can also be a keep if you already have a good hand. Alien Encounters could be a consideration, like if you have Tracking and in Birdwatching, that's basically a turn-free couple of 2/5, so that never hurt nobody. But the rest of the keeps are situational at best. Like I said, Absorbent Parasite, amazing. Nobody has kept Absorbent Parasite well. No wonder you're losing against Mage, guys. What the fuck? I literally always kept this card against Mages, and I always won against Mages, so maybe we're onto something. As for on the coin, here's what we have. And here, again, pretty much all of the same stuff. Honestly, even a Hollow Hound might be a consideration with the coin, because you could be desperate for a turn 5 Hollow Hound against some classes, but probably you're going to be better off trying to get it through the egg, so keep that in mind. For other good Hunter decks, this is the list. This is the list I showed you. Almost 1,000 games, 58% win rate. Whereas this is the one I played a lot more games, a little bit less sample size. So honestly, I could have just showed you the list I played. I will make a video about this list probably tomorrow anyway, so definitely check it out. But I'm not gonna give you another guide about it. Like, I literally talked about the deck right now. I'm not gonna say the same thing over and over again. So yeah, definitely check that one out, plus the gameplays. Other than that, we can also see Spell Token Hunter pretty high. There's also this new Spell Token Hunter with the Discover mechanic, but apparently it's not picking up as much. I did try it in the first day, but it's around 50% win rate. Probably a skill issue, but probably not. Highlander Hunter is also up there. We actually have a deck with enough sample size to show here, only 230 games, but then again, it's a 30 different cards, so how much games can we expect out of a unique list like that? So yeah, definitely plenty of things to choose from for Hunter. Speaking of plenty of things to choose for, we also have Death Knight, and here, this control Death Knight with Climatic Necrotic Explosion is actually pretty bonkers. So it is a rainbow list, one of each rune kind of deal, and it does control a lot. It does tutor out your important Draenei with the help of the Troubled mechanic. You can get yourself your 6-mana Exarch Maladar like that, and you do have plenty of ways to actually gain a bunch of corpses with things like Dreadhound Handler gives you 3 corpses, Mining Casualties gives you 4 corpses, Crop Rotation gives you 4 corpses, Rainbow Seamstress gives a couple, Ma and Pa give you 5, all of that good stuff, so you can actually load up on a lot of corpses, so you can actually spend them, again, with the help of Ma and Pa, with Runes of Darkness, with Exarch Maladar, a couple of new airlock breaches are pretty nice and get you up to 50 health in a single game like that. Could be pretty nutty. And like we said, we have a Climatic Necrotic Explosion at the end, so that can be pretty good for a finisher. The new Ceaseless Expanse is also in here, which you get to drop quite quickly, especially if you actually give a bunch of plagues to the opponent, because once they start drawing plagues, they actually draw twice, so that discounts Ceaseless twice. But obviously you have plenty of other tokens and stuff, so this thing does drop fairly quickly for you. And we also have Reska in here, which also drops fairly quickly for you. All around the deck is very control-y. You do have somewhat of a mean punch. You have a couple of Frost Strikes, so you can discover yourselves things like Corpsicles and stuff like that. Threads of Despair is a very nice control tool. We have a couple of Acolytes of Depths in here, and that way you get to draw plenty of cards. Be careful, because you can draw more than you would actually like to draw with things like Crop Rotation, Rainbow is Undead, this guy draws 3 if all of those die. So plenty of card draw engine in this one. Yeah, you're seeing the deck. It's a good old high value control DK deck, so pretty strong. And you also have Headless Horseman at 6 mana for some later games where you will need to discover extra undeads. You don't run Kill Jaden in this one, which I kind of really liked as an idea, because Kill Jaden actually plays around perfectly against things like Highlander Warriors, which honestly I haven't seen much of, so I guess why bother. And you also get to play around other plagues this way, because once you transform your deck into a portal, nothing gets shuffled in it. It's always going to be random demons for you, but it is a little bit of a weird inclusion. So maybe into an ETC, maybe some of these cards could be an ETC instead. Like surely one of these cards could be swapped out for an ETC. But it's definitely up to you how you want to be playing it. Matchup wise, we didn't see, but this one does not have enough data just yet. As for the mulligan, we can see going first, this is what people have been holding on to. You obviously want to be curving out with the good cheap stuff. Hellia is a no-brainer. Ma and Pa. If you have both Hellia and Ma and Pa, I would throw away Ma and Pa, to be honest. Rainbow Seamstress could be nice. Troubled Mechanic is decent. He does have Divine Shield, so he's going to be kind of hard for the opponent to deal with, so that Spell Burst might have a chance to proc. Frost Strike can be good depending on the opponent. Same with Crop Rotation. Acolyte, a little bit on the sketchy end, but if you feel like you can stick it, maybe you should. As for on the coin, plenty much of the same. So yeah, basically curve accordingly. The Ziliax in here is obviously Twin Module plus Perfect Module. So yeah, I don't want to see anybody asking for Ziliax in the comments. I showed what the Ziliax is. I know the comments. I know the deck codes don't copy it like that, but that's not my fault. The stupid side never figured out how to do that, and I think plenty of sites never figured out to do that. For other good Death Knight decks, here's what we can see. This is the one I showed you, small sample size, but it definitely looks pretty promising, so give it a check. We can also see plenty of Razzle Death Knights doing quite well. There's also Highlander Razzlers doing quite well. No, they do actually run the Razzler, right? Because I did play a Highlander variant without the Razzlers, which felt wrong. Yeah, I think it was this one. We can also see some other variations, like this one is double blue, for instance. It also runs a single cold feet, so this is an excellent way to actually cog block the mages from keeping their elemental chain going. Like imagine a mage spamming elementals till turn 4, you plop this thing on turn 5 and they have 6 mana 1-drops, they can't play anything, so the chain gets broken and they don't have enough time to play another elemental chain to get a good enough Lamplighter later, so this could be a huge counterplay to them, but you can also discover it with things like Frost Strike, so even if you're not hard running it, you could be looking for it. We can see plenty of other iterations of Death Knights. Yeah, people love them some Death Knights, don't they? So yeah, it's either Highlander or some variations of Rainbow, and wow, this is looking kind of weird. It's some kind of Death Rattle Death Knight as well. Yeah, plenty to choose from. That's gonna be it for the top 5. Now let's look at the other good meta decks for each individual class, starting off with Demon Hunter, and seems like Demon Hunter is still remaining true to its roots. Pirate Demon Hunter seems to be your best bet with decent sample size, decent win rate, but nowhere near as close as the 58, 59, 60 plus win rate decks I showed you so far, so naturally it's not a part of the top 5 decks. We can see that no new cards really make the deck better. The only Death Knights that have some new cards are this thing, and it's barely above 51, so definitely a lot worse than the 57 variant. With Druids in Top Legend, I've been hearing about Dollhouse Druid being very strong with Aulonius and such. I haven't really faced it much. It does look promising. It does have Ethereal Oracles, which is a super broken card right now. But yeah, all around, I would not recommend this for a Diamond 5 to Legend kind of player, because it is far from fundamental Hearthstone. On the other hand, Dungar Druid is looking quite promising. This is the list I actually gave you a video about, and it is the best performer, so you can check out my gameplay video with it. It definitely felt super strong and fun to play, and you get to be dropping things like Dungar as soon as turn 5 if you manage to curve out pretty well, and a lot of people can't actually handle that. We can see some other Druid lists also doing quite fine, like I faced this one for instance, I think. It has the new Ceaseless Expanse, it abuses Hydration Station, Kill Jaden is in here, some Cubicle, some Mind Control action, plenty of interesting cards in this one. And yeah, there's also Highlander Druid being playable but not as good anymore, and plenty of different iterations of Dungar and such. Even Treant Druid is up there, but definitely not the monster of a deck we remember it to be. With Rogue, I'm happy to see that Quasar Rogue is still pretty trash in terms of win rate, but that doesn't change the fact the deck is super obnoxious to play against. There are better lists with it, like this for instance is a 56% win rate, definitely far from trash. This one is abusing even extra spell damage with things like Blood Talnos. But the rest of the deck is pretty standard stuff. Oh Manager is a new card from the list I showed you on day 1, so obviously the deck matured. And yeah, Quasar Rogue is still definitely very playable and capable of winning. It's just a very fucked up thing to be playing on ladder, however, and definitely do not get... Don't get attached to this card, it's gonna get nerfed to the ground hopefully real soon. Miracle Rogue is the best performer so far, however. We can also see Mech Rogue, the fuck, haven't seen this against me at all, but apparently it is also kind of strong. Small sample size, but might be decent. Dagger Rogue apparently is also pretty decent. Not sure if this thing even has any new cards, kinda looks like it doesn't. Yeah, no new cards in this one. It was a fun, simple deck to play with. Pretty straightforward and linear. If you face Elemental Mage with Glacial Shards though, that's probably gonna be the end of you. We can also see some other iterations of Miracle Rogue, plenty of other iterations of Quasar Rogues at the bottom as well. So yeah, that's probably your best bet for Rogues. With Warlock, Hand Wheel Warlock seems to be your best bet. Pain Warlock is also creeping back in, not very decisive though. Kind of 55% win rate, nothing to write home about kind of deal. Highlander Pain Warlock apparently, the fuck? No it's not. That ain't Highlander, this is Renefall again. What the fuck, HS Replay? Why are these Renefall decks creeping up in the stats? It's kind of messy here, honestly. So again, take these stats with a grain of salt. I've heard people say that Fatigue Warlock is still kind of fine. Personally, I'm not seeing it, and I'm not sure it's that fine after the latest nerfs. So yeah, there's that. And lastly, we have Warrior. Honestly, I could have included Odin Warrior in this top 5. It had close to the same win rate as the Breakfast Hunter, even more than the Breakfast Hunter. But since I gave you Breakfast Hunter on the last video, since I gave you Odin Warrior in the last video, decided to give you the Death Knight deck in this one instead, and Breakfast Hunter. So yeah, if you enjoy the Odin Warrior playstyle, go for that one. It is doing quite well against the mages, and you sure are probably facing plenty of those for now, but I'm not sure how that's gonna affect this deck in particular after the nerfs to it happens, so keep that in mind. Dummy Warrior seems to be also pretty playable, with 58% win rate, pretty respectable stuff, but I haven't really been seeing any Highlander Warriors lately, and apparently they're pretty bad now. So that's gonna be it for this top 5, guys. Hope this video helps you figure out what you want to be playing in the new Hearthstone meta. Don't forget to drop a comment, like, and subscribe to the channel if you want to have a chance to win 3 hours coaching with me. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'm kBfDoBd, and I'll see you in my next video or stream.